Good morning, everybody. I have to see quickly how this is going to look on the other screen because my previewing on my size is horrible. So I'm sorry if you have like a super up close of my face. We will fix it in a second, hopefully. I have to wait for my stream to catch up to see how it looks. I'll put a little timestamp thing in the description box below for when the actual stream starts. Okay, alright, I can see it on my other screen. Whatever. It's not as bad as it looked on my preview. On my preview, my face was like huge, and I'm like, my face does not need to be that big. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. I'm Little Green Kitty. Welcome to the Daily Greens. I hope that you're having a wonderful morning or day, whatever time you're watching this. Before we get started with the press releases that we're going to go through today, I want you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the little notification bell. That way you get notified whenever we're going to be going live or whenever we put out a new video, because some of these press releases or USDA alerts and things that we put out are sometimes breaking information. Sometimes we're a little bit behind, but either way, there's usually a lot of good stuff that the MSM doesn't cover. So if you're an independent journalist, or if you know somebody that is, or if you're kind of an alt media type, make sure that you subscribe, and you can check out our website, thedailygreens.org, and you can get a lot of good information and sources that way. So today we are going to be talking about, as the title says, nerds helping terrorists. And there have actually been quite a few cases of American citizens helping like other countries and other groups and whatnot nowadays. So we're going to go through a few of them, and we're going to try to go through them as quickly as we can. I might have to take a break in the middle of it to go get my kids up and get them some breakfast. So if we do, then I'll just stop for a short time and then resume. Alright, so let's go ahead, and I don't know how the sizing on this view is going to be either, so I might change it here in a second if it's not good. This is real life, you guys. This is trying to do this stuff real life. Alright, so this is our website, thedailygreens.org, and everything that we're going to be going through today is listed in our press releases right down here. You can see we've also put out a USDA notice and recall list of some newer recalls and some updates on some older ones. And then we have quite a few press release lists that we have put out. And yep, it looks like I'm going to have to change my other view so that you guys can see a little bit better. So I hope this one is a little bit better. I got to figure out how to change my previewing so that way I can see it just the way that you guys see it. So here's our website, and as I said, you can just scroll down here. Now these press releases have come out within the last month or so. So some of them are like in one, and then some of them are in another release. So after this stream, I'm going to go ahead and link all of the specific ones that we talk about today in the description box below. That way you don't have to go hunting for them. Okie dokie. So our story today is about a Chicago man being charged with attempting to provide material support to ISIS. So Thomas Osadzinski, that's a tongue twister, only 20 years old, was arrested Monday, November 18th in Chicago. A criminal complaint charges him with one count of attempting to provide material support and resources to a foreign terrorist organization. A detention hearing was scheduled for Friday, November 22nd, 2019, and he is a U.S. citizen who resides in Chicago. The complaint alleges that he designed a process that uses a computer script to make ISIS propaganda more conveniently accessed and disseminated by users on a social media platform. And right down here, they do have the actual download to the full complaint, to the whole white papers on it. So that is what we are going to be looking at. There have been, as I said, quite a few cases recently of people helping other countries or terrorist organizations, And oftentimes they think that they're working with the enemy and helping the bad guy, and in actuality they're just helping the FBI to land them with a charge. So you guys, the FBI, they're aware of what's going on. If you're trying to get away with something bad, just be aware they're probably a few steps ahead of you. So this, of course, is written as a complaint by an agent, and so it's written in the first person as you can see, I am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been so employed since approximately January 2016. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze, and I need some more coffee. This is a bad situation. So it even gives details here about the subject's phone number and all kinds of personal information. They had a lot of stuff on this guy. So I'm going to scroll down to where it goes through some of the charges. But pretty much what this guy did is he created a bot that was taking the videos and what they term as the propaganda, the pictures, all the violent stuff that they put on like YouTube or Facebook, and then of course YouTube and Facebook take it down. And these groups, what they would have to do otherwise is they would have to copy everything manually. So they would have to like download the video, copy the description, and do all these things and switch it over to a new account and then put it up and of course continue the process, because each time it's going to be taken down. So I'm sure that you guys have come across some stuff on YouTube or on Facebook and you're like, how are the algorithms not catching this? Well, they are going to catch it. It just takes them a minute sometimes, and then those accounts get shut down, but unfortunately the stuff is just put out through another account. So what this guy did is he made a nice little bot for them that would do all of it on its own, so they did not have to do that. So of course that's a big support, and he even went on to offer to translate some things from Arabic, some articles and stuff for these groups. And as I said, he thought he was working with ISIS and stuff, but in actuality the FBI was on their game. Okay, so there were in-person meetings between him and the person that he thought he was working with, and they were recorded. The majority of communications were in English, but in limited circumstances they used Arabic words or phrases. So when you go through this paper, you will see that at the bottom, we'll get up to the summary of investigation in a second. Well, you'll see them. There are little footnotes that explain the different phrases. So if you are wanting to cover this on your own, they do go very in depth about what the different things mean. Okay, so the summary of the investigation. It says, as described in more detail below, which we are going to go through, in or about and between June 2018 and through November 2019, Osanzinski attempted to provide material support and resources, specifically services, including expert advice and assistance to ISIS, a designated foreign terrorist organization. Specifically, Osanzinski designed a process that used a computer script that directed social media platform One bots to copy and save ISIS official media content in order to help ISIS spread its message and make its material more available to its supporters. This process sorted and categorized large amounts of official ISIS media content according to specified criteria and copied it to other social media application One environments created by Osanzinski, where they were perceived and could be more conveniently accessed and disseminated by other users. So, as I said, he made a bot that copied all of the material and all of the descriptions and would just post it to another account. And as it says, without the script, they would have to do it individually by hand, and that takes a long time. If you've ever tried to re-upload some of your YouTube videos to another account, you know that it can take quite a while. Social media platform One and social media platforms routinely remove ISIS media content due to the violent nature of the content. ISIS and its supporters reproduce, save, and disseminate the group's propaganda material to as wide an audience as possible in order to recruit and inspire attacks against the United States and other Western countries. Osenzinski's script automatically and rapid copies and saves voluminous quantities of ISIS media content, thereby enhancing the group's ability to store and share its propaganda online. Furthermore, the computer script preserved I need coffee, hold on a second. It preserved ISIS media content in a more organized format, which allowed social media platform One users to more conveniently access, consume, and disseminate the ISIS media content. For example, the defendant's computer script allowed consumers to choose media by resolution. Thus, people with slower internet connections could find and view lower resolution or a smaller file size videos, and people with faster internet connections could find and view higher quality videos. So, of course, if you're trying to search the web and you are out in the boondocks somewhere, you don't have a very good connection, then it's going to be really hard and you're going to give up on finding the material and the propaganda. But if they put it out in a smaller file size, then it's easier for you to access and you're not going to give up as easily and you'll see more of it, of course. Osenzinski shared his script with individuals whom he believed to be ISIS supporters and members of pro-ISIS media organizations, but who were in fact OCEs and CHS, and instructed them on how to use the script. In addition, Osenzinski stated that he wanted to teach other ISIS supporters to use the same preservation and copying process. Based on my training and experience, I have learned that social media platform One is a mobile and desktop messaging application. It can be used on smartphones and on laptop and desktop computers to send messages and media to each other. I like that they said through their training and experience. I wonder if they had to have training on that. To sign up for social media platform One, a user must provide a phone number. I wonder which platform they're talking about. Social media platform One verifies the phone number through a text message sent to the phone number. Users can also select a username but are not required to. Usernames are unique, meaning only one user can have a given username at a time. Specifically, usernames and display names can be changed at the discretion of the user. However, blah, blah. Okay, we know how social media platforms work. Okay, so it says they can't view the phone number associated with a username unless specifically allowed for by the given user's privacy settings. And then it goes on to describe some more about this social media platform. So go ahead and comment down below or in the live chat room, which we have going, if you think this is Facebook or Twitter, or what platform they're talking about. And before we go on to the next little blurb, I want you to remember that you can go to thedailygreens.org to find these press releases and for a whole lot of other good sources and information that we try to put out quite consistently for other independent journalists and alt media types. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. That way you get notified about our new content and videos as we release it. And if you could hit that thumbs up button, we would really appreciate it, because as always, it's hard to get this information out sometimes, and that definitely helps the algorithms to kind of promote information over MSM misinformation. Alright, so let's go ahead and get back into it. If I can get on the right screen. There we go. You guys know how it is. I do morning streams. This is how it goes. Okay, so this next part is about the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham. On October 15th, 2004, the United States Secretary of State designated Al-Qaeda in Iraq. I'm just going to say the words, except not all these, because I'm not going to try to say that this early in the morning, but it's stating that they classified them as terrorist organizations. But yeah, I'm not going to skimp on words. It's too hard for me to remember when I come across a word to not say it, so I'm just going to say it, whatever. Right, it gives a little bit of the background of declaring them a terroristic state. So you can see all that here. I don't think we all need background on this organization, but these are some ways right here that they try to garner support from people. It's not just trying to get people to go off and like fight in wars physically. They will try to get monetary support. They will try to get, as they got here, or well, as the dude tried to do here, he tried to give software support to them, which is a different kind of material support. It's still considered material support. But there's a lot of different ways, and we will go through a few other stories. As I said, this is not like one case thing that has been happening lately. This has been happening fairly consistently. Coffee. That these groups, these terroristic organizations, and other countries are trying to work with American citizens, or trying to sway them to doing bad stuff on their behalf. All right, let's go through a little bit more while I drink my coffee. So some of the ways that they try to get support from American citizens is, of course, by recruiting fighters and other personnel, including doctors, nurses, engineers, among other roles and professions. But they also solicit donations and other financial support, call for attacks in the West and against other governments and civilian populations deemed enemies of them, intimidate governments, private entities, and civilians that do not share their violent jihadist philosophy, and claim responsibility for terroristic attacks. So it's not just trying to get people to go fight, just so you're aware. And social media is a way that they're trying to spread their propaganda, so please be aware of that on the interwebs. So it says that I know that Pro-ISIS Media Organization 1 is an unofficial pro-ISIS media organization that creates pro-ISIS media content, and it distributes online, including on social media platform 1. Law enforcement agents have reviewed some of the media organization content posted on the social media platform, which includes violent videos and instruction manuals and all kinds of horrible stuff. So of course they're aware of all of these organizations. As I said, the FBI is definitely a few steps ahead. And it's going through, because you'll see that they use certain phrases, like how they say social media platform 1. So they have to describe the platform, and they have to describe the organization and a background of it. So again, if you are an independent journalist or an alt media and you feel like you can't cover this because you don't know enough about it, they give you all of the background information right there in these white papers, so that way you can cover it in depth. On or about June 6, 2018, Osenzinski, using account 1, posted in a social media platform 1 pro-ISIS chat room called Weapons, a picture of instructions for manufacturing TATP. Based on my training and experience, I know that TATP is a highly unstable explosive used by terrorist organizations to commit attacks. Osenzinski asked if anyone in the chat room had the video that went with the instructions. Osenzinski and others in the chat room discussed security measures to take while acquiring the ingredients and tips for handling explosives and ingredients. Later in the conversation, he described a video that was officially released by ISIS with English subtitles on how to make a chemical explosive in a kitchen. On or about June 6, 2018, OCE1, that's the organization. Remember, if you forget, you can just refer to the earlier papers when you're going through this yourself. They responded to Osenzinski's post about the explosive. After exchanging greetings, OCE1 sent Osenzinski a screen capture of the TATP instructions, and that Osenzinski had previously posted in the chat room. And so they were guiding him. Osenzinski stated, that's really hard to say over and over again, that, quote, I will be doing studying. Yes, I think it will be some time before I try anything. Based on the content and context of this conversation and my conversations with OCE1, I understand that Osenzinski meant that it would be some time before he tried to commit an act of violence using the instructions. The organization asked him if he was studying for school, and he replied for jihad and added a smiley face emoji. He further stated that the Makarabat, I don't know how to say that, knew who he was and that Hijra will be very hard. Based on the context and content of the conversation and the FBI's previous attempt to interview Osenzinski on March 2018, I believe he meant that he thought the FBI was watching him. So he was aware already that he was being watched, and yet he was still doing this stuff thinking that he was smarter than the government and ahead of them. And honey, no. And again, okay, here are the footnotes that I had mentioned previously. So if you're going through this and you don't understand some terms, they have it right there in the footnotes. This is a very good paper. So if you are interested in this, as I said previously, this is linked in one of our press releases on our website, thedailygreens.org. And after the stream, I will be putting a link in the description box below to this. On or about June 29, 2018, OCE1 reached out to Osenzinski to follow up on the June 6, 2018 conversation. He informed the organization that he had to stay passive for now because of the Murabat, I don't know how to say that, watching him, and that he can't get in contact with the brothers for now. He also said that there is a slanderous Rafid with American... Okay, so he was saying that they have people ratting him out and watching him, pretty much. The organization asked him if he could fight them, to which he replied, if I must, I will retain Shahada, and then said some other terms which you can look down here for. They asked if he had weapons. He replied that he had a sharp knife and that he knows some brothers with guns, but I prefer Kalashnikov. Any American employee will not be innocent. The agents who follow me. Osenzinski went on to state that he knows a person that could get him a Glock 17, 9mm, hollow tip, armor-piercing rounds. He said, I am doing a lot of reading like explosive making. Once I get my gun and explosive belt, they will never get me. Really? Because I think they did. On or about February 7th, 2019, the user of social media platform One Account 2, later identified as Osenzinski, contacted pro-ISIS media organization OCE2, who portrayed himself as a member of the pro-ISIS media organization One, responded to the message. Osenzinski's contact was unsolicited, and at the time he contacted the organization account, the second organization was unaware of his identity. When Osenzinski reached out to the organization One, he identified himself as having previously written an article for online magazine One, titled A Message of Inspiration to the Mujahideen, Fighting the American Crusader Soldiers and Their Puppets. He requested to be added to a specific organization group. On or about February 9th, 2019, the second organization told him that he would be added to the group of members for the media organization One. In response, he sent a picture to the second organization of two individuals embracing with the ISIS flag in the top right corner and a heart graphic overlay, and they have a picture of it right here. And right after that is when he said, I know English well. If you need help, tell me. Based on my training and experience and the context of the conversation, I believe that Osenzinski was offering to help pro-ISIS media organization One by translating from Arabic. And this is 39 pages long, you guys. So we are probably going to move on to the next story. But needless to say, he even did like a YouTube video titled ISIS operate freely in Iraq and security forces unable to follow. To the Crusaders state of Russia. I have reviewed To the Crusader state of Russia. The video celebrated a deadly attack in Russia. It's like, it's a lot of stuff, you guys. He discussed more attacks. Lots and lots of stuff. So there's 39 good pages of this stuff if you guys want to go really far in depth. But I want to touch on a few other stories that have been released lately because this is not, as I said, a one-off. This is not just like a rare circumstance that has been happening lately. They are different organizations. I shouldn't just say they, because it's a lot of different countries and organizations are trying to target people all over the world through social media in different ways. So that, of course, gives the government a lot more reason to try to push a lot of restrictions on us that some of us don't like on social media. But this is part of the reason why they're trying to do it. So, you know, you need to be aware of what's going on just in case you come across it. It's not, the government's not just making it up. It is happening. Let me get off of my face. There we go. All right, so let's go through the next one. This one is about a U.S. Navy officer and his wife and 2 Chinese nationals charged with conspiring to smuggle military-style inflatable boats and Evinrude military outboard motors to China. Let me take a sip of coffee before I go into this. This is very interesting. Okay, so they have been charged on charges relating to conspiring to unlawfully smuggle military-style inflatable boats and the military outboard motors to the People's Republic of China. Now, what I found super cool about this, where is it? Is it describes what these things do. Let's go over some details about them first. Fan Yang, 34, a naturalized citizen of the United States and lieutenant in the United States Navy residing in Jacksonville, Florida. Yang, 33, wife of Fan Yang, and a naturalized citizen of the United States residing in Jacksonville, Florida. Ji Sang Tao, 49, a citizen and resident of the People's Republic of China, and Zhang Yan, 27. I'm sorry, I messed up because I realized I said their name wrong. I'm sorry. A citizen and resident of the People's Republic of China are the defendants, and they were arrested on October 17, 2019, and are currently detained. All 4 defendants have been charged with conspiring to submit false export information and to fraudulently attempt to export articles from the United States. Additionally, Yang, Ji Sang Tao, and Zhang Yan have been charged with causing the submission of false misleading information to the U.S. automated export system and fraudulently attempting to export 7 vessels and 8 engines. If convicted for conspiracy for the submission of false export information, the charged defendants each face a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison. If convicted on the attempted smuggling charge, these defendants each face a maximum sentence of 10 years in federal prison. All 3 have been charged with conspiring to violate laws prohibiting an alien admitted under a non-immigrant visa from possessing a firearm and prohibiting the transfer of a firearm to a non-resident. Fan Yang has also been charged with making false claims to a firearms dealer, which carries a maximum penalty of 10 years imprisonment, and with making false official statements in his application, a security clearance, which carries maximum penalties of the 5. Okay, hold on a second, because that's not. Oh, here we go. See, it's morning time, you guys. Good morning. So it has a download press release thing here, and my computer's going to take a second because it's working overtime right now. Oh, come on, thing. Why is it saying, come on, thing? This is how my computer is. Oh my goodness. This is hilarious because I'm watching my stream on my other computer. So I can see that I have internet connection and it's streaming, and yet you can see it says no internet on the thing. Hooray! All right, here we go. Here's the indictment. So let's see where it gives some details on the products themselves, because it was super interesting. It gives, of course, a lot of other background information. Where is it? Okay, I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me scrolling through this, but I, of course, as I said, I will link this in the description box down below after the stream, and also it is linked on our website, thedailygreens.org. But pretty much, and I can't remember where it was because I read through it late last night. So somewhere in there, it talks about the actual products and what these products do. So it's high-tech scuba gear is what they were trying to give away, and the scuba gear itself, it's one of those recycling majiggies where like it doesn't put out any bubbles. So if you're underwater and you're in some kind of enemy territory or something, or like sneaking around by a naval base maybe or something like that, you're not going to be as easily detected because there's no bubbles. And then it also recycles the air. So, you know, high-tech stuff, and of course the motors and everything too. And this was a Navy officer and his wife. Now, they were not born citizens, they were naturalized citizens, but, you know, good things to be aware of. Alright, so let's go on to the next one. I know my kids are going to be getting up soon, so I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go a little bit quickly through the rest of these. South Florida resident arrested for attempting to illegally export controlled items to Libya. Peter Sotis, 55, of Delray Beach, Florida, was arrested based on an indictment charging him with conspiracy to violate an attempted violation of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and the Export Administration Regulations, as well as smuggling of goods. The indictment alleges that Sotis was the owner and principal of Ad Helium, a Fort Lauderdale diving company. Sotis was charged with smuggling, conspiracy to violate, and attempted violation of IEEPA and the EAR by transferring dual-use goods, that is, articles that have both civilian and military application for export to Libya without the required Department of Commerce license. In particular, the court documents indicted that Sotis and a co-defendant, I'm getting so tongue-tied, and co-defendant at Ad Helium transferred 4 rebreathers. So these were more rebreathers that they transferred. I can hear my kids starting to wake up, so let's go through the other ones quickly too. Missouri man sentenced for providing material support to terrorists. According to the court documents, between May 2013 and continuing to February 5th, 2015, Hodzik conspired with others to support the activities of Abdullah Ramel Pazara and others, including a conspiracy to commit outside the United States an act that would constitute the offense of murder or maiming if committed in the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Hodzik intended to and did provide support and resources to Pazara, knowing that he and his co-conspirators would use the support and resources in furtherance of their combat against the Syrian government forces and others. So his support consisted of money, which then his co-conspirators used to purchase a bunch of stuff that they weren't supposed to have. So again, they don't just look for you to go fight their wars. They also look for monetary support or bots being built. That is still considered by our government to be support of a terrorist, and if you try to do that stuff, you're not going to get away with it. They know what you're doing, and they're going to catch you. There have also been 2 charged in scheme to impersonate U.S. officials and to defraud Iraqis. 2 U.S. citizens residing in Iraq were charged in 2 separate indictments yesterday for their alleged participation in schemes to defraud Iraqi companies out of millions of dollars by impersonating U.S. officials. Now, this might not be them working with some other kind of bad organization to try to bring harm against the U.S. in particular. Their motivation may have been money, but of course, it doesn't give us a good name, and it makes it easier for those organizations, those bad organizations, to find support when there are people going around giving the U.S. bad names. So these 2 individuals were charged in 2 indictments returned in the District of Kansas. Mohammed and Sachet were each charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 6 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of false impersonation of U.S. officials, and 1 count of wrongful use of government seals. The indictments allege that Mohammed and Sachet, along with their co-conspirators, induced companies doing business in Iraq to enter into fraudulent contracts under which the victim companies were to provide materials worth millions of dollars to the U.S. government and receive payment in return. However, the purported contracts were false, and the victim companies had provided materials and or made payments to obtain the contracts were never paid. Mohammed, Sachet, and their co-conspirators allegedly emailed the victim companies forged contracts and other documents that contained falsified U.S. government seals and impersonated U.S. officials during an in-person meeting with the victims' companies, all in order to defraud the victim companies by deceiving them into believing that they were doing business with the U.S. government. The defendants were collectively responsible for defrauding the victim companies out of items worth millions of dollars. And the last one that we are going to, there was another one too. We're just going to go through this one. And as I said, all of these are linked on our website. So you can go and find all of the ones that have to do with this kind of stuff. They're all on there. So this is about 2 former Twitter employees and a Saudi national charged as acting as illegal agents of Saudi Arabia. These individuals were charged for their respective roles in accessing private information in the accounts of certain Twitter users and providing that information to officials of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I don't know how to say his name, but he was arrested in Seattle, Washington, November 5th, 2019. All 3 defendants are charged with acting as illegal agents of a foreign government, and they've also been charged with destroying, altering, or falsifying records in a federal investigation. The 2 defendants are former Twitter employees who violated their terms of employment to access this information in exchange for money and other benefits. Aside from being criminal, their conduct was contrary to the free speech principles on which this country was founded. So, Al-Zabara, 35 of Saudi Arabia, and Abu Amo, I don't know how to say that, 41 of Seattle, Washington, were Twitter employees, and according to the complaint, between November 2014 and May 2015, Al-Mutari, 30 of Saudi Arabia, and foreign officials of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia convinced Abu Amo and Al-Zabara to use their employee credentials to gain access without authorization to certain non-public information about the individuals behind certain Twitter accounts. Specifically, representatives of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi royal family sought the private information of Twitter users who had been critical of the regime. Such private user information included their email addresses, phone numbers, IP addresses, and dates of birth. This information could have been used to identify and locate the Twitter users who published these posts. This complaint alleges that Abu Almo was compensated for his illicit conduct, including through the provision of a luxury watch and cash. Al-Mutari is alleged to have arranged meetings, acted as a go-between, and facilitated communications between the Saudi government and other defendants. So it's not just Facebook that's selling your information, guys. There are Twitter employees apparently selling your information just right to the organizations which we're trying to speak out against. Which is kind of like, uh-oh, because I'm sitting here, giving you guys all these press releases. Yay! And I have a Twitter account. I don't have Facebook, but I do have Twitter. But it goes to show you that, no matter what kind of social media you use, no matter what, your IP address is oftentimes going to be tracked or stored in the server, at least temporarily, if not for longer, and that information can be sold. And if you have somebody's IP address, then you can oftentimes get a general location of where they are. They do have programs that you can use to put up a false IP address and stuff like that. So if you are a tech nerd, then make sure that you do that kind of stuff. If you're not, then there are a lot of good YouTube videos on it. So look up that if you're concerned about that, because obviously as independent journalists and alt media types, none of us really want to be targeted for this kind of stuff, right? And we all still want to keep speaking about the truth and trying to get it out there without being targeted ourselves. So that's always the risk we take, though, right? Okay, so all of these press releases will be linked in the description box below after I'm done with this stream. And everything, of course, is linked on our website as well, thedailygreens.org. Make sure that you check it out if you are looking for good sources and good information. We also recently put up a USDA recall and notice update. So make sure that you check that out if you are cooking Thanksgiving dinner or if you know somebody else that is, and that way they can keep all of the recalls in mind when they're preparing their food and everybody can stay healthy. That's good stuff. You can follow us on Twitter at DailyGreensnips is our handle, and we try to post some stuff regularly on there when it comes into our inbox. Some of the USDA alerts and stuff, we don't always go live with the videos, so make sure that you check out our website and follow us on Twitter if you're wanting to get good up-to-date information. And also hit the subscribe button and the bell notification little guy thing if you haven't already. That way you get notified every time we come out with new content, because some of this stuff is very important and good to be aware of. And if you would please hit the little thumb up or the thumb down if you didn't like it. I'm kind of all over the place. I get it. If you don't like it, that's fine. Go ahead and hit the thumbs down. That lets us know if we're doing things the right way, if we need to change things. So, go ahead and, democracy, thumbs up, thumbs down, either way you feel. And leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions or if you would like us to cover anything that we haven't talked about. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. We would love to hear from you guys. And I hope everybody has a really happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining me this morning and putting up with my morning brain. I'm going to finish my coffee and get the rest of my day going. Thank you everybody for watching and have a wonderful day. Let's put on our tunes. Woo!